Now it's time for tip-episodes with quick tips you should know. Techniques you can implement into your workflow right here on A Tale, oh yeah, A Tale of Two Hygienists.
All right, everyone, welcome into a special tip episode. I am joined today by Lancette VanGuilder. I'm really excited because we're talking today about podcasting, which don't turn the channel off, everyone. Like this is like, it's not going to be too nerdy, but as you know, like from time to time, we have like new dental podcasters come on the show and talk about like why they're doing what they're doing and what kind of content they're going to be bringing you and give you something hopefully to help you in your life. If you're fighting burnout or if you're struggling with just being bored in dentistry, like this is just new information. And so we welcome Lancette. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this new journey and hopefully, inspire you guys to listen to the podcast, but also, I'd love to serve as a resource for any of you out there that are looking to have more of a presence in the airway space or are really, really nerdy and geeking out over sleep apnea and mouth breathing and nitric oxide, all the things that are exciting me right now. We need strength in numbers, and I'm really trying to create a movement that dental professionals can encourage all of their patients to get sleep tested. Hashtag get tested, right? Know your numbers. And that's really kind of what has launched this whole podcast is bridging medicine and dentistry together and letting dental professionals know that there's this great avenue, but most importantly, saving lives.
I feel like with airway in general, first of all, just as a little behind the scenes, all of our podcasts when we talk about airway do much better than some of the episodes that kind of get released at the same time. I think it's a hot topic. I think it's something that people want to talk about and listen to, but I feel like there's a group of hygienists that are all about it, right? It's very similar to like the EMS and airflow, like those people are like all about it. And then there's a group of us who it's like, oh, that's cute and interesting. It just sounds so daunting. It's like, how do you
Oh,
break that
yeah.
barrier for like that everyday hygienist? It's like, look, I can't take one more thing on my plate. I'm gonna just die.
Yeah. Well, I think that once you understand the why behind it, when you really understand, 80% of people with mild to moderate obstructive sleep apnea are undiagnosed. The why is that people just don't know that they are suffering. Once you know the why and really embrace the why, it makes the rest pretty easy. But I give a lot of classes on how to easily introduce airway screenings into our routine dental appointment when you're doing your oral cancer screening. And, I have found that within 3 or 4 minutes, I can do a comprehensive visual and tactile oral cancer examination and airway screening. And it hasn't really added any extra time into my appointment at all, just by combining it with things that we already do. Once I learned the why behind it, it really felt like like an obligation, like I could not do it, right?
Yeah.
And when you start to just pry open that box, and once you have one patient that, thanks you or goes and gets tested and found out they had severe sleep apnea, and they come back and say, thank you for saving my life. Oh my gosh, the reward and gratification is pretty amazing.
I mean, very similar to the oral cancer in that way. Like you do these
Hmm.
screenings, they don't take that much time, 3 to 4 minutes or so, and then you know it's that one person that they come back and you're like, okay, look, I've missed a lot of these diagnoses in the past. I'm going to keep doing them from here on out. Like you just get a renewed energy.
Yes, and I can relate though. I am a practicing clinician. I still, see patients every week in private practice. I own a mobile dentistry program, so I understand the time constraints. I mean, I have lots of days I don't, take a bathroom break. I don't take a lunch. I'm running late. I have notes to do. I completely understand. That is my day several days a week. I have just, found really simple, easy questions to ask, simple red flags to look for inside of the mouth that I can just combine with my other things. So it has become, very, very efficient as well.
So on the one hand, we're talking about like, look, everyone, this is so easy to kind of do intro. Let's get into it. But then as I listen to some of your podcasts that you've done, I'm like, okay, that's a little bit more complex. Your guest is speaking, oh, wait, kind of things that I'm not really on, paying attention to. So let's talk
Yeah.
about like what some of your guests that you've had, some of the topics that you have covered so far, and then kind of what you want to take your podcast direction into.
Yeah. So the podcast has really came to light because of two different roles that I work in. One is private practice, a dental hygienist. The other is I serve as a clinical director for Sierra Sleep Airway and Wellness Center in Reno, Nevada. And it is an airway centered practice. And I oversee a team of dentists and hygienists and myofunctional therapists and assistants where we are really specializing in assessing for airway. So the podcast is kind of coming from both of those perspectives. And you're right, what I have found is airway patients have very complicated health situations mentally and physically. I'm not expecting the average dental practitioner to pick up on any of that during a routine appointment. What we can pick up on a routine appointment is just red flags that warrant more screening. And then the patient goes in for more screening, and that's when we are unraveling all of the very complicated things. Like one of the guests we've had on the podcast talks about childhood trauma. She specializes in hypnotherapy. She's a dental hygienist, just happens to be a dental hygienist who went on, became a myofunctional therapist, got really big into airway, and discovered there's actually a connection between our brain and our breathing and our sleep, and then went on to get additional certification to become a hypnotherapist. And she has discovered the world of childhood trauma and how we hold all of our experiences in our body subconsciously or consciously, that our fascia gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and that we might have mental issues behind our breathing and sleep. And she can work on how do we unlock and discover some of all the experiences that we've had in our lifetime affecting us now and release them so we can relax and breathe and sleep and have better mental function. One of my podcast guests is actually a patient who is using an oral appliance to help her with her sleep apnea. She tried a CPAP, she couldn't wear it. She knows that she needed to treat her sleep apnea. We got her into a brand new FDA cleared Vivos appliance, and she talks about her appliance therapy. One of the other guests that we've had on is a breathing expert talking about how we can lose weight by just breathing better. So it's been fascinating on uncovering these stories from medical experts, sleep specialists, myofunctional therapists, dental hygienists, dentists, and we have some pretty exciting guests kind of planned out for the future. Authors who've written very prominent books on breathing and sleep. One of my next guests is going to be my nephew. He's 10 years old, who had, chronic mouth breathing, chronic cavities, bedwetting. He was starting to have some behavior and attention issues. And just by getting his airway addressed, getting his tonsils and adenoids out, getting a tongue tie, myofunctional therapy, and into a dental appliance while he sleeps, he no longer wets the bed. He's doing fantastic. He can exercise now. He's losing weight because he had already started to have signs of childhood obesity. These are really amazing stories from experts and professionals and dentistry and patients that I think we all can probably look at somebody in our lives that these stories resonate with, and there's really easy solutions to help them. Why I started the podcast is I started to get really frustrated at when people are talking about weight loss or breathing or sleep. The solutions are traditionally medicines or masks or machines. And I just think there's got to be a better way for people to live than that.
For sure. The thing I like about this though is if I am like the everyday hygienist, I can get inspired by some of these stories. I don't have to do all of those extra screenings,
Exactly.
right? I am just the front lines for this. And that's what hygienists are. We're front lines for so many different things. But if we wanted to, you're also showing pathways that other people have taken and models that other people have taken, that if you do need a change of course in your career, then there's so many things out there in this space, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm always here to support dentistry. I've been a hygienist for 28 years. I live, breathe, eat, and sleep it. I'm vice president of the American Dental Hygienists Association. I own multiple dental hygiene businesses. I believe in improving access to care. I believe in the heart of a clinician. I believe in advancing our profession. And I definitely believe in mentorship and support. And I have had great mentors like you, Andrew, in my career. And I am here to be a resource for anybody who wants to reach out to me and say, hey, I want to know more. Maybe this will help you in your private practice. Maybe this will help you start a new career change. Maybe this podcast will even just help you deal with a situation that you have in your own life with your family, your friends, or your patients. You can pick up little pearls, I think, in almost every episode that I think is relatable no matter which of those avenues that you're looking for.
I love it. So how can they find the podcast, and how can they reach out to you if they have questions or
Yeah,
concerns?
so the podcast is called Beyond Breathing. We have a trailer and 4 episodes that were just released, and I'm so excited about how it's turning out, excited about the future guests. Beyond Breathing is the podcast. It can be found on Apple Podcasts, Alexa, Amazon, and Spotify. If you want to reach out to me, you can email me at any time, lancettevg@gmail.com, or find me on social media, Facebook as Lancette VanGuilder, LinkedIn, Lancette VanGuilder, or reach out to Andrew. He knows how to get a hold of me.
Oh, and I'll definitely put all this stuff in the show notes. If you listeners, if you are interested in reaching out, we have lots of resources. Lancette, thank you so much. Congratulations on your early success. This is really awesome. I'm very excited for you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
A tale of two hygienists.